Hi. So, in this week's Mooncast, we will be venturing down a more narrow route that will serve as a more traditional direction for the story, one where we will steer clear of making choices. However, the current choose your own ending route will still remain and evolve as so. But I would simply like to offer you the choice of reading and listening at ease without any decision making. For while freedom may be pleasurable, the roof of security religion and rule offer is invaluable. So, relax and let us resume the show. I don't know how long it's been. The sun broke through the sky, having waited me out till morn. I couldn't crack the code to my circadian rhythm, and when the fresh dawn air breathed its exhausts, and the light pierced through the crevices of the swollen ivy that separated me from the villainous world, I knew I had been found. I exited my tomb and re-entered the scene before me. It was still in the thick of the woods, only days after I left the civilization that bore me. The sting of my obligations hit me. The responsibilities I was presented with in that life made me question the guilt I felt despite having left an intoxicated collage of people rearing their ugly faces. Time and space, I remembered. Time and space heal all wounds. The musk of fallen leaves spun my focus. The floor crunched under my bare feet as I hung about in a circle of trees I had blindly selected as my destination last night. The trees were the beautiful silver birch I had always wished for. Silver birch and oak, gum, and the stoic pine still obstructing the hot solar gaze. They were tall, and as I moved closer, I put my hands on them. Humming, and soft whistles, a childlike humming to a long forgotten tune. I listened and could feel their heart like water under my caressing palms. Nay, plasma swimming beneath. It was a light, airy fluid, hues of purple and blue, at times strewed with pink and magenta. I became excited by this revelation, having met new friends I never knew I had. Friends that understood me, who spoke my language. You know the sort when you come across such souls that soften your shoulders. Gliding from tree to tree, acquainting myself with the familiar fauna teeming throughout its foliage. A life force came over me. A new sun yawned into my world. My world, the wilderness where not a soul may grow weary. The earth energy crawled up into my toes and wound its way throughout my body. For a lack of food and water was I given sustenance by the earth and wind. I could feel my dormant DNA activating its lazy muscles. New chemicals produced coursed in my veins. They say medication is an antidote, and the doctors bless you with the magic potion. But, just as so, does it put your brain and thyroid to sleep. To bless is also to curse, and to curse, well, it takes time to see its blessing. Fertile and feral, I wanted forever to remain free. Indeed, as aquarium fish poured back into the sea whence their ancestors come, I embraced my new sea. The civilized Greeks feared it, but not I, not I went on, and laughed in total merriment at my newfound desire. But life has a way of searching out beacons of joy, and under the brush a pressure came forth, a darkness, hurrying to meet at last the spirit of these very pretty songs. Oblivious, I continued my skip and dance among the throng of guardians, as the tip of a thin swaying branch of silver birch caught my hair in a knot. I struggled to unbind the dastardly twig when an immense foreboding called forth my fight or flight. On instinct, I ripped out the tangle and scurried to the hollow of oak I dreamt in. As still as stone, a deadening silence, frigid in fear. I kept watch through a tiny hole in the bark and vines concealing me. The darkness came. The trees bowed their mighty bows, and the sky sullied. The wind stirred. And a sudden storm seized my throat. The outcasts, the unwanted, that's what they called God. This creature of nightmares, yet humanoid, so very human, dripping in a dull glow of once was. His skin glistened in every way out of an oil painting, perfect, but cut from an animation I had not before seen. His stature rose against the colossal heights of the first branches of the oldest oaks. This was a giant of stories once told. And untold were the unfathomably dense chasms of oil colors moving together in tight sinews about the muscles in his chiseled form. His face, numb with inmost, bottomless emotions, the god walked out of sight. What tension that gripped the atmosphere left with him, and the forest returned to its charm. The night was encroaching. Blue and dark colors folded over in the sky the nearer. My survival beckoned forth the innate wisdom of my ancestors. The eldest of technologies. I slid out from my hollow and, with ever cautious ease, hands shaking, gathered dry leaves, twigs, and gumballs into a small pile. I closed my eyes and bent my head forwards and blew with a slight guttural rasp. A little light flickered somewhere underneath, and quickly its hunger fed on the bits of tinder. More leaves I sprinkled atop, and then looked round for limbs and logs that would warm its belly. Soon enough, fire made a camp, and round the campfire did I sit close, praying for my existence. I remembered the board game I'd play as a child, the one where the players began fresh and new upon the world's 7 continents. Each were claimed by a player, until none remained save for the third ghost player, whom occupied the same amount of territories as you in the other. In the end, only one could win, but as in life, you would take a game of risk and roll the die to claim your victory or surrender to defeat. And like this, under the cold stars, did a brilliant idea spark mirth and hope. I swept away the leaves till only the bare forest floor stared up at me. Firelight flickered. With a stick, I leaned over the premise and drew a large rectangle. I needed a map if I was to navigate these woods, so I sat silently in crisscross, sucked in a deep breath, and called upon the memory of the first days I had spent here, and what pathways the animals took, where water flowed to its orifices, and how these subterranean mycorrhizal networks spun and wove deep below. With my stick, I lined and swayed, penned and brushed, dug and dusted as my eyes rolled wide and my body sunk in trance. Voices came out, whispering, gasping, teeth on edge, chattering conversations, gibbering tragedies, suppressed laughter, crying, solemn oaths. Go away! No, come back. Yes, they are from the far reaches. Ha! Gave it? A stick cracked not too afar, and I stepped back to the campfire. Under the glittering, icy stars, within the dark recesses of heaven, my map was drawn. The outline was somewhat vague, but the distinction between here and there was heavily marked. I could account the field far to my right in the east, and the rolling hills fuzzy with forest. To the north lay more pines and some spruce. To the south, a little more oak and gum where I make my bed at. And in the northwest did mists shroud the rest of the continent. But a crude face depicted in the dirt with large eyes and horns rested uneasily on my conscience. In the east. Sighing, I reclined onto my back and gazed pensively at the stars above me. How still, I ran upon the thought, how still they are there.